Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I am doing fabulous. I have spent most of the day inside and it has rained all day and all night last night. So I haven't done anything but pour into myself and be grateful for the rain because we need it. And it just is going to make the waterfalls that I visit so much better. I love giving a few days after the rain for the waterfalls to be just gloriously pouring and just showing out in all of their glory. It is amazing. So every time it rains, I'm like, where am I going to go next? What waterfall have I not visited in a while? So I have that to look forward to. And I'll have plenty of energy stored up from getting my rest. I wanted to talk today about, excuse me, sacrifices. I know I've talked about sacrifices a little bit here and there, mainly when talking about breaking generational curses. Definitely sacrifice involved in that. Um, Sacrifices are necessary. They're necessary. Don't forget that it's very important to remember that you planned this. You co created this with Source before you came here. You just don't remember it. So embrace that and know to have blind faith in that and know that it's going to work out. Push through that fear. If something scares you, that's what you need to run towards. Run straight into the face of fear and show it what you're made of, because you're made of so much more than what you thought you were when you developed that fear in the first place. So the fear is like a trigger. Consider that a trigger. Just like anything that may irritate you or make you mad or, make you want to compare your life to someone else's when there is no comparison. The only thing that you should be comparing yourself against is who you were yesterday and trying to be better than that version of you. So don't compare yourself. We're all on our own paths. We are all on our own timelines. We are doing this exactly as we should be. And what you need to learn is different. It's different. You have probably already learned those lessons or they are yet to come for you, but don't waste any time on comparing yourself. But yeah, you planned the sacrifices. They were put in your path for a reason. It's part of your calling. You need to go with the flow and release it. Whatever it is that you're being called to sacrifice, know that it serves a purpose and that God will reward you for that. You are being a steward. That is what it's all about. So don't try to hold on to it for dear life, because you may lose your life in trying. There's a reason for it. Make the sacrifice. It is going to be a game changer, a complete game changer for you. So if you see that that's in your path, embrace it with every fiber of your being, because it is going to level you up. You just have to go with the flow and do what God is asking you to do, because it is there to level you up. I promise. You don't get to know when, you don't get to know how, but know that you have the utmost trust and faith in the plan that you and God co-created. He put you here for a reason. There's only one you. No one can do it like you can. No one. Not one single soul can do it like you can. This was the tailor made for you. So have faith in that. Stay right with God. Everything is going to be fine. You will receive it back tenfold. He will give you interest. There will be restitution. All of that is going to be involved. All of that. All of that. Okay. So just go within. If you feel afraid and you need to push through that fear, you go within and you talk to God. You connect with your higher self. That is source. That is source. So there's no vocabulary that can explain it. There's nothing that I could accurately articulate for you that would put it into words exactly what it means, how great the sacrifice means to Source, that it serves a bigger plan. in the larger picture. So just go with it, okay? He's not asking you to do it because he likes you to suffer. He likes to see you uncomfortable. He is strengthening you. He is reminding you of what you are made of, how strong and infinitely powerful you are. Others have probably made you forget. Your negative self-talk has probably made you forget this limited belief system that we live in this society has made you forget. So he is going to put these things as a checkpoint on your path to remind you of what you're built of, and that is him. We're built from him. We're built from source. He, she, it, whatever you want to call it. He doesn't care what you call it. He does not care what you call it. I don't believe there's any religion in heaven, and a lot of people have attested to that too. If you want to also read up on the people that have had the NDEs, but also use your discernment, because some people are on there for self-serving purposes, just like any other platform. So definitely use your discernment. Once you listen to a few of them, you'll be able to tell in a second, because most of them have had the same experiences, just slightly different. But the ones that get on there, and I heard one on Friday that was very apathetic, and he wasn't saying that he had an NDE. He was saying that he had a pre-birth remembrance. He had a memory of before he incarnated, and that he was very apathetic. He was saying that this means nothing. There's so many injustices, which there are. I don't refute that. But he was saying that this is pointless, and that the only reason that he believes that he is here is so that he can tell others and take them home. And I'm like, how are you going to take them home unless you kill them and they kill themselves? Like, you've got to talk them into it somehow. How are you going to do that? And it's pretty, like, I believe in no apathy. I used to have a Facebook folder about whenever I was politically active, and the pictures that I would post from protests and different events that we went to and supported. I called it no apathy because I don't believe in apathy. I do not believe in apathy. I don't believe that we should succumb to letting that lead us in any type of way, because there is always hope. Hope floats, right? And if you believe in a higher power and a source, you know that there's a purpose here. God didn't send us here to just have us suffer. We have to find our way out of that. We have to find the silver lining. We have to find the joy in even the hardest things. And a lot of it is about shifting your perspective and not putting the labels that society wants you to put on it to identify things with negative connotation, or to identify yourself in a certain way. You don't need to be defined by those things at all. And that will completely release any power that it has over you immediately. Immediately, it's freedom. Immediately. So the sooner that you can embrace that and wrap your heart around it. I won't say your mind can be your biggest enemy. So don't always let that be the leader of your discernment. I would go within. I would let your soul, your higher self, be the leader of your discernment. So sacrifice, I believe in embracing the challenges. I have a quote, and I love being inspired by people, so I will quote as much as I want. If you have a problem with that, swipe away, because I am going to give credit where credit is due. And there have been many beings that have come before us that have inspired us, should continue to inspire us, because just because they didn't complete, they didn't cross the finish line with their inspiration, with the life that they led, that it was cut short, or it just never happened in their lifetime. That, as Nipsey says, the marathon continues. He's just passing the flag, just passing the baton to someone else. And I believe that Martin Luther King did that better than anyone. And the quote that I have for him is that nothing worthwhile is gained without sacrifice. And I believe that is so true. Embrace your challenges without labeling them. make necessary sacrifices to achieve your calling or your goals or whatever. If you don't believe in that you've been called, I believe that we're all called. It's just, did you answer the call? Many are called, few are chosen. He's going to prepare you for the call, and you're gonna be more than prepared to do what he's going to ask you to do. It's just, are you going to answer it, or are you going to stay in low vibrations? Are you going to run from the call? Are you going to try to keep others from, spending all of your time and energy to keep others from fulfilling their calling and their purpose? It's what you choose to do with that. The choice is yours, but we're all going to be called. We're all going to be called. He's going to prepare all of us for that calling. It's just, do you answer it? Are you going to pick up? Are you going to put motion behind that? And I think that you should. I am. I definitely am. But effort and giving up something is what leads to positive results. And that could mean anything from time, comfort, resources, or even personal relationships to achieve the desired outcome. And that's about as much as I've written on this, except for the examples that I have, because something led me to this being the topic today. I was watching and being inside and not. I've done so much artwork. I've done so much creating. I've done so much outside adventuring. I have done a couple of attractions. And so I decided to, in scrolling, which can be a huge trap, I decided to let myself be led by the scrolling and be pulled in by things that I view as something that could help me grow. And I immediately, in having my mind set on that, came across a new channel and then an old channel that I had seen a couple of videos from, and I was happy to see it pop up again because it was an update that was so amazing. And these are two channels. They're two young women. One is black, one is white. That doesn't matter. I'm just saying they both glow immensely. Like, their whole aura is huge, and aura is not ego. Everyone has an aura. It doesn't matter what you have, what you put on, how you act. That is ego. So get rid of that definition that today's generation is trying to put on the meaning of aura. Aura, everybody has an aura. It's just, how strong is your aura? How healthy is your aura? Does it have holes in it? Is it the colors of low vibration, or is it the colors of high vibration? Everyone has an aura, and their aura is so powerful. They are literally glowing. They always have huge smiles on their faces. And this is not just for the camera, because they could be talking about things that make them cry, that remind them of harder times when they weren't in this place, but they will tell you in those moments, as they witness to you, about what they've been through, about how they've come to appreciate those things that made them so sad and made them feel broken in the moment, and how they choose and refuse to let that define them, hold them back, or keep them stuck in a low vibration or in a cycle of where they feel sorry for themselves or defeated or held back in any way. That they are pushing forward, and they are on these channels, much like I'm on mine, to inspire other people like they have been inspired to do what they did and to tell their story. It is so powerful to tell your story, because you never know who needs to hear that. You never know who needs that little push in a positive direction to let them know that, look, even though I may not be a carbon copy of what you're going through, if I did it, I'm just an ordinary person that God is working through, that you can do it too. It is possible. So dust yourself off, because we're going to get back up and try again. You knock me down 10 times, I'm going to get up 11. There is no going back. And after you have done that for so long, there's no surrender. There's no surrender to the hardships at all. The only thing is surrendering to what God has for you and letting Him make a way for you, because He will. He will show up and show out as soon as you show Him that you are willing to let go. and give him the reins and that you trust him with all your heart. So the first person, her name is Isabel, and she calls herself Izzy for short, and her channel is called Izzy Busy Beehive, and she was quote unquote homeless because, in my perspective, she had a roof over her head. She was living in a what did you call them? The extended stay hotel, just like the last one that I was in before I went camping. And I can recognize them. I've seen so many people do videos from these hotels, and they all look the same. They all have the same artwork on the wall, the same two pictures, the same green wall, one accent wall, the same little kind of, not a mini fridge, but like the in-between fridge. They all have those stovetops without an oven. Like, they all look the same. So immediately I'm drawn to those because I'm like, hey, I've been there. We have something in common. They have made the journey through a similar place that I've been in. And she has 5 siblings and her mom. And she started doing her vlogging on being quote unquote homeless. Remember, shift your perspective. You have a roof over your head. You're taken care of. There's nothing homeless about you. Home is wherever your soul resides. I am already home, especially if you come back to yourself in your genuine authenticity. You are already home. Wherever you are home, and God will always take care of you if you trust him to do so. So never let anybody make you feel less than because you had to go through something that they have probably no idea about having gone through, and they probably wouldn't know how to do it like you, because you don't know that you can do it until you're forced into it. And if they haven't been in it, then they have no idea how but you do. So there's power in that. Don't let them take that away from you in any way. But she was showing about how she was very organized. They all had 2 backpacks apiece. They were all color coded. She was showing how they slept, what they cooked, things like that. She started a GoFundMe. And the episode that I saw that popped up was about her moving out of the hotel and into an RV that she was able to buy for her family to live in. And they have not only a place that is theirs, that they own free and clear, but they pay much, much less in the campground that they live in. And then they have water, electricity, and Wi-Fi, and there's laundry. And even though the campground that I stayed in had free laundry, they have laundry in their RV. So everything has been just completely cut to a fraction of what they were paying before, because hotels are expensive. If I had had the money to make the leap into paying a deposit and first month's rent, that it's just hard to get out of that hole. I was paying up to $1,800 a month in rent, and in my apartment now I pay $1,100. So I was paying way more to stay in a hotel that had way less than I have now, because I didn't have the money saved up to pay a deposit. So don't let anybody make you feel bad about that. You were making the money, you were paying the money. It's just hard to make that leap and to get out of that deficit. But God will make a way, so don't worry about that. But it's expensive to stay in a hotel. And she was giving a tour, a goodbye to the hotel, giving a tour of their new living space, going out to Walmart. She was telling about how the GoFundMe raised, I think, $40-something thousand, and now her followers on YouTube are up to where her channel's monetized. So she was telling about how she chose to spend the money, what the cost was in the RV for the campsite, to have somebody to move it to the campsite, to buy the washer and dryer for the RV. The RV was used, gave all these things. She's very smart. She's teaching herself like Japanese. She used to take piano, but she had to leave. They had to leave a lot of their belongings behind, as did I when I moved out of my apartment, or I was locked out of my uncle's. It went in 2 phases. When I moved into my uncle's, I had to leave a lot of my furniture behind, and trust me, I got charged for that. But I had to leave so much behind because I didn't have money for a storage, and no one would help me move it even if I did. So I could only move what I could fit in my car, and what I think one load in my son's truck and one load in a former friend's truck that he borrowed from his work. Um, that's all I could move. So a lot of my stuff had to stay behind. So I focused on my son's stuff. I focused on my necessities, but like my furniture, I think to my uncle's, I only brought like 3 pieces of furniture. And that's not counting like my son's TV and a small TV that I had for myself. I had a fairly brand new bed. I had a dining room set. I had a couch. I gave one TV to my son. I left one huge TV behind, a wine rack, a dresser, a lot of my clothes. I left so much behind. So that was sacrifice one. And then when I got locked out, like the rest of my stuff, except for 2 changes of clothes and everything that me and my son had taken to the hotel room to spend overnight with before we realized that was going to happen. And then everything that was in my car, all of it gone. So don't get attached to things, because God will give you those things back. That's a sacrifice that she had to make as well. That she had a piano and a saxophone, and she had instruments. She was very musically inclined, and so now she's able to buy I think it was a folding keyboard, and she's getting back into music. Well, she had to sacrifice not only her things and her pride because of the labels that people put on you that you don't even ask for. You don't put them on yourself. You're in survival mode. You're walking in faith with the Lord. You're trying to live your best life with what you have at your means. And she doesn't want to live above her means, so she's being very transparent about how she spends the money, but she's adding those things back to her life. And she had to quit school in order to help care for her younger siblings, and to devote the time that she has put into just making it possible for them all to be okay. And so she's getting her GED, so she's studying for that. And I just think it's so beautiful. She's transformed her channel into a totally different trajectory. She's 18 now, so she is showing how she's living as an adult and how she's making these decisions for her family. She's sacrificing so much for the greater good of her family to get them out of that just money pit of a hotel situation, which is why I went camping, and I can tell you all about where she's at, minus the RV. But she is just a huge glowing example, positive example of how a lotus grows in the mud. And I've never seen her. She was talking about how she bought this big gigantic peep that they had like at Walmart, and I almost got my son one of those, so I know exactly what she's talking about. But she said that once she was so sad in the hotel room that she needed something to hug, and she was so sad, and she got a roll of toilet paper, and she was hugging on a roll of toilet paper to console herself. And I can identify with that. While I didn't do the exact same things, you do what you need to do with what you have. And she also talked about how hard it is to let go of the things, even though they have money and they've gone and bought utensils like metal silverware and pots and pans and things that for so long that they have lived with plastic utensils, and they had food stamps, so they went and bought on purpose a bunch of frozen dinners to where they could have washed those plastic trays that they came in and reuse them as plates, because they didn't have the money to buy plates. And that now that they have these new things, it's so hard to throw those things away, because that's what you survived with for so long, that became comfort to you, because you had something to use where you had nothing before. And so you cling to those things. And I can totally understand that in meeting people at the campground that I was at, the people that had been homeless and that were they had gotten an RV, or they're still living out of a tent at the campground like I was, that they it was like a hoarding situation. I completely get the people that push around the shopping carts and have it packed with things, because when you come from having nothing and then you have things that help you survive, you hoard those things. You don't want to give them up because that's what helped you survive for so long. And at least you had that, right? So I've met so many people that have hoarded the things that they've had. And I understand, I still haven't been able to give up my plastic utensils. I thought about buying cutlery, and I have bought a few things like a spatula and a knife and a pizza cutter, and I have dishes, but I still use my plastic cutlery because I'm not having to spend money on anything. It's worked for so long. As long as I put it in the first little dispenser in my dishwasher, the hot water won't touch it because I've had a few that got melted and bent. But I'm like, it's working just fine. And eventually I will have cutlery again one day. Eventually I'll have a washer and dryer back in my home just like they do in their RV. Like, I'll have all these things one day. There's no rush on me spending every dime that I have to be like, I'm out of it. I'm free and clear of poverty. Not everything has to be done right away. You're going to prioritize. But I completely get where it's hard to throw things away, where you feel like you need to keep every single little thing because that makes you feel safe. I completely get that now. But the other girl is the one that I hadn't seen before, and her name is Michaela Noble. And some of you might have heard of her already because she's got a pretty big following. She's been doing her channel for way longer than Izzy, but she had a cheerleading accident where she was tumbling in the backyard of a friend and she landed on her face, head. She has a C6 spinal cord injury to where she is a quadriplegic. And the first video that I saw of her was of her. And remember how I was talking about the other day about how you should even pray and thank God for your arms and legs that work, because it can always be worse. It can always be worse. It can always be better. But don't take for granted the things that you have that other people don't have, because it could be taken from you at any second. So it really gives us no excuse for not doing something with what we have, because others, even Michaela, are doing lots with what she has. She refuses to let that defeat her. But the first video that I saw, she was being completely taken care of by her mom and sister. It was right after her injury, so she couldn't do anything for herself. She can move her head, her neck, she can move her arms, but she doesn't have very much control over her hands. She can move her hands like back and forth, but the grabbing things with her fingers. And then I fast forwarded to some of her videos now, and she works out every single day. She is not relying on her mom and sister for every single thing. She can put on her makeup, she can wash her face, she can dress herself some. She's in the gym with CrossFitters now, and she can like do an army crawl across this turf for like a whole football field, and sometimes ends up bloody doing it because she's like, I refuse to be told that I can't do something. And even if I never have the use of my legs anymore, even though there's some like robotic thing, I can't remember that, like exoskeleton or something. I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's like this RoboCop looking thing that they put her legs in, and she can walk with that, but she doesn't own it. She just uses it for physical therapy. But anyway, she has come so far, and she's got guns on her. She even got like a boob job, but she had a GoFundMe set up for her that paid for all of her medical bills. Bought a SUV for her. She didn't have her license before. This happened to her when she was 16, and I think she's 20 now. But she was set to graduate a year early, and she was pushed back into graduating with her original class, which was fine with her. She's glowing. She's very positive. If something is still not healed within her, she's very honest about it, and she will say, look, I've done interviews, that information is on my website, but I'm not comfortable talking about every single bit of it yet. And that's not recent. This was like some of her early videos, but she will let you know what her boundaries are and what's off limits. But She got an SUV that's converted to where it has a remote like ramp that'll come down. She can wheel herself in it. She went from having a motorized wheelchair that she can only use with her hand, and now she's like in a regular wheelchair where she's using her arms to self-propel. She's walked in fashion shows. She is sponsored by a lot of different anthropology. I can't remember the other ones, but she's sponsored by so many people. And she has given back to her family that have been her caregivers with these sponsorships, such as like mattresses being donated. She'll get one for her family as well. She doesn't just take it for herself. But she is such a positive, glowing example. And there's nothing wrong with GoFundMe's, guys. There's nothing wrong with GoFundMe's. However, if you're going to put anyone down for asking for money or asking for help, which I did at first, what you're not going to do is go set up a GoFundMe for yourself and call it something different. The pot calling the kettle black. That's where things get a little bit, I see what you did there, but you're not different. It's okay. And others do not get to judge how you choose to fix what they broke. Shout out Meredith Grey from Grey's Anatomy. I used to be a Grey's Anatomy freak. I used to watch it religiously. But that's what she says, that she makes no apologies for how she chooses to fix what others broke. And you shouldn't either. If you needed to ask for money or you needed to take donations or you set up a GoFundMe, no F's given. You did what you had to do. Hopefully the Lord led you there. If not, he would have denied it. It wouldn't have happened for you. He will close the door if you weren't meant to go there. So rejection is God's protection. But don't let anybody make you feel bad, because the whole time that they're, gossiping and defaming you and smearing your name, they're probably setting up GoFundMes for themselves behind your back and trying to say that it's completely different, but it's not. So you keep doing you, boo. But yeah, Michaela, she made a lot of, and her channel is just Michaela Noble. She doesn't have any snazzy little call line, but she is amazing. But one of the, she's in a gym, and she was deciding where to go to college based on her favorite football team and where she wanted to cheer for in college. But since she can't cheer anymore, that is not an option. So she changed her course as far as education. But the gym that she trains at, the guy was interviewing her, and she did get very detailed with him about things that she didn't talk about at first. And she said that sometimes she even asks herself on the way to the gym every day, why am I doing this? It's not going to change the fact that I am going to need help every single day with something. It's not going to change the fact that I might not ever be able to walk again. Why am I doing this? And he said, okay, why are you doing this? And she said, because I have to. Because that's who I am. Because I'm not just going to throw in the towel. I'm going to keep working to get better every single day, no matter what is thrown at me, because that's who God made me to be. That's what I took on when the sacrifice I gave up of my arms and my legs not working the way that they used to. I'm not just going to let that define me and stop trying to move forward. And he said, so if you're not becoming better, you're becoming worse. And she said, sort of. And she said that her drive is the fear of wasted potential. And I think we all, no matter what circumstances that we are in, no matter what sacrifices that we make, we all have enormous, unlimited potential in what God gives us to work with. Because I have come a long way in the person that I used to be before, and I'd like to say that I always did the best with what I had at the time, but I didn't. I took those things for granted. I took a lot of things for granted, and I did do a great job, but I didn't do the absolute best that I could have done every single time with what I had at that moment. But I think that we should all let these girls inspire us and know that if they can do it, that you can do it too. Just like I have worked my way out of that campground, that I know all of the things that people said about me, the ways that they tried to put me down, but I was trying to find a way out, and there was no way to get off of to keep on the hamster wheel and make progress by staying in a hotel if I didn't get off of the hamster wheel. If I didn't get away from that horrible job that I had and the horrible people that were trying to make things hard on me every day and paying $1,800 a month and having to deal with the horrible staff at the hotel, and just let go. Just let go. And God showed me so many beautiful things there when I trusted Him. And He gave me a car to sleep in when it wasn't safe for me to sleep in a tent. He gave me everything that I needed and more. And then when I did that, now I thought I'd be camping for 3 weeks. I camped for almost 3 months, but it was in a time of the year where it wasn't as hot. I moved there early August, so it was still hot, but it wasn't as hot as it was throughout earlier in the summer. And He got me out of there before it started to be freezing weather. I only had like 2 or 3 really cold nights in my car where I had to turn my heater on. But yeah, everything was provided for me. Things that I was paying for, Wi-Fi, things that I was paying for, like my clothes to be washed and dried, those were free. I had showers they locked. They were wonderful. They were cleaned every day. I had beautiful sunsets, a lot of wildlife around me, especially the deer. I missed the deer. I met lots of good people, and I learned things from them, some good things, some bad things, but I hope that they all learned from me as well. And I also I did the audiobook of Kiki Palmer, but she was on another snippet that I watched earlier, and she said people put in those positions have to be stronger than their disbelief of what they can accomplish. And she also sacrificed a lot for her family, being a child star, because her family sacrificed for her to be able to do that. They gave up their jobs, they gave up their pension, they gave up their homes to move to California and let her pursue her dreams and her passion and what she was talented at. And then also, she had a lot on her shoulders because everything was riding on her then to take care of her parents and her 3 siblings. And she felt a lot of pressure as a child to make sure that she kept earning that same amount so that she didn't let them down and that their sacrifices wouldn't have been for nothing. So she said she would do it all again. So your sacrifices are worth it. Even though they may hurt at the time, you have to find a way to understand. Like I said, there's understanding, there's overstanding, but when there's no vocabulary to describe what you will feel and acknowledge and learn when you connect to your higher self by going within, there is an inner standing that takes place because no one can articulate it. It's just a knowing, an inner knowing. And once you learn how to do that and you do it consistently, you won't question anything that you go through. You won't question any sacrifices you have to make or any place that God leads you or what you have to give up, because those people can't go with you, and some of the people you will realign with. Um, I pray I realign with my children, especially my youngest one. I take solace in the fact that God showed me who people around me were when I didn't believe them when they showed me their self the first time. He did that so that I knew they can't go where I'm going. These sacrifices are going to elevate me, and part of the elevation is cutting. I don't want to say the dead weight, but cutting the heaviness of the lower vibrational people that are trying to spend all of their time and energy to keep you from elevating or to not be genuine in their relationship with you or why they have one with you in the first place or what they choose to do with your loving kindness. That you need to see it as freedom and take comfort in the healing of what was cut away. Because where you're going, they can't go, and they were only going to hurt you or be a snake in your life or stab you in the back again if you didn't realize it and stop wasting your precious currency that is your energy on trying to make those things work, because if you didn't leave it behind, it was only going to continue to hurt you where you're going from here. So you're not going to succeed. God's not going to set you up for failure. He's not going to give you something that He's worked so long to prepare you for you to get to that place and not be able to sustain it because you brought people, places, and things along with you for the journey that weren't deserving and that were only going to set you back from those gifts, from those presents that He has for you, for all the sacrifice and all the hard work. Don't let it deter you. Just give into it. Give into it. Pour into the part of yourself that feels empty when this happens, when you've sacrificed, because you will feel empty. You will feel sad. Those things you identify with for so long. You felt like that's who made you you. That was such a big part of your life. So pour into that part of you that feels empty. When you lose something or someone, I mean, it's just part of your self-care journey. He will bring it back if it was meant to come back. Most of it was not meant to go anyway. He just had to show you in a way. You know how many people that showed me who they were, and I didn't believe them the first time, that I kept giving them chance after chance after chance. And I believe in second chances, but now I know that that second chance doesn't have to come from me. You can have all the chances you want, and I wish you the best at getting them and with what you choose to do with them. And hopefully you've learned your lesson and that you break out of whatever cycle you were in and you love yourself and you heal yourself so that you embrace it and you do the best with what God has given you in the future. But that doesn't have to be with me. That doesn't have to be with me at all. And I make no apologies about that because I'm putting my own oxygen mask on first. And so should you. But always believe people when they show you the first time. That will spare you a lot of pain, heartache, trauma in the future. Trying to hold on to something that never was what you thought it was to begin with. You were just feeling a void that you needed to fill yourself. You needed to pour into that void yourself, even before it was ripped away. God just had to rip it away because you wouldn't stop. You wouldn't stop hurting yourself by giving them more chances. And He finally had to pull the plug and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to show you who they are in a way that's going to make you be definitive about this decision and not look back, because what happens when we look back? We turn into a pillar of salt. There's no moving forward from there. That's all you get. And He has so much more for you. So freely give up the sacrifices, because in being His steward, in choosing to answer the call, He will bless you enormously, because it wasn't all for nothing. It was for you to elevate. So that's what I wanted to say today. I love you. God loves you, and you're never alone. I'll talk to you later. Bye.